Such a happy new year for a lot of people this year. I'm here to announce, in partnership with the Mint Hill Police Department and the FBI, that we have foiled a terrorist attack that was planned to take place on New Year's Eve in Mint Hill, North Carolina. Now, New Year's Eve, we all know, is a wonderful time where we all celebrate the past year, we look forward to and plan the next year, and everyone deserves to do that, to celebrate the new year without being concerned about their personal safety. And thanks to the law enforcement that stands with me today and others, we are fortunate that people can do that. The FBI, the Mint Hill Police Department, the New York Police Department worked around the clock on this matter, not just building a case for us, but surveilling the subject and making sure the public was safe at every moment, including Christmas Day. They worked around the clock on this, and I very much appreciate it. The defendant here lived in Mint Hill. The planned attack was to take place in Mint Hill. I want to thank Chief Joe Hatley of the Mint Hill Police Department for being with me here today and for your work over the holidays, Chief. I really appreciate it. I'm sure you know Jim Barnacle by now. He's the special agent in charge of the FBI for North Carolina. The FBI worked tirelessly on this case, and I can't thank you enough for that. FBI agents spent their Christmas Day surveilling a subject so that families in Charlotte and Mint Hill and Western North Carolina could spend their day celebrating with their families, and I'm very thankful for that. That is true public service. If you see a police officer or an FBI agent, please thank them for spending their holidays on this so that we all could spend our holidays with our families. I also want to thank the prosecutors in my office who also worked over the holidays getting a search warrant and an arrest warrant and making sure that the public was safe and that this terrorist attack was foiled. The defendant here is an 18-year-old named Christian Sturdivant. He has been planning this attack for about a year, but he's been planning an attack for far longer than that. He was planning this attack in support of ISIS, and we have charged him with attempting to provide material support to a foreign terrorist organization, that organization being, of course, ISIS. Now, this is still very much an active investigation. We had to act quickly here to protect the public. So we are light on details, but we'll tell you as much as we can. And Mr. Barnacle will probably tell you more than I will about those charges, but I thought I would give you an overview of what's in the federal complaint and the charges that we charged. So Mr. Sturdivant started on the internet. He started reading ISIS material, started going to ISIS websites, making TikTok videos, and eventually reached out to what he thought was a member of ISIS. In reality, was an undercover agent with NYPD in New York. He pledged his allegiance to ISIS with that undercover agent, and he disclosed his plans to, quote, do jihad soon. He then met a second undercover with the FBI, who he also thought was an ISIS participant, and he started to be very specific with his plans. He talked with that undercover agent, again, who he thought was ISIS. He talked about where he was planning to do this attack, which was at a grocery store and a fast food restaurant in Mint Hill, places that we go every day and don't think that we may be harmed. He talked about what means he would use to kill innocent people. He said he was going to wear a Kevlar vest and attack people with knives and hammers. And, of course, he talked about when he was going to carry out this attack, which was New Year's Eve. A time when American life is on full display, right? We're all out there in crowds celebrating all that has happened this year, all that is to come, that we are so proud of. And that is when he planned his attack to attack that American way of life. The FBI executed a search warrant at his home, and they found the instrumentalities of the attack. They found hammers and knives hidden under his bed. They found notes where he planned his attack and detailed his attack and plans for how he was going to carry out this attack. It was a very well-planned, thoughtful attack that he had planned and that was fortunately foiled here. He was preparing for jihad, and innocent people were going to die. And we're very, very fortunate they did not. But the fact that along the way, in this extensive planning of this attack, he encountered not one, but two undercover officers should make the public feel very, very good and very safe. Because law enforcement is out there every day, and we know they have a lot to do. But they have people out there making sure that as people plan these terrorist attacks, they have stops so they find it. And they did find it here. And on Christmas, while we were all opening presents, they were sitting in a driveway making sure that the public was safe. And we're very, very appreciative of that. Mr. Sturdivant was arrested on New Year's Eve, the day he planned his attack. Of course, it did not become public today. It has been under seal until today. He made his initial appearance in federal court this morning, about an hour ago, and this case is now moving through the judicial process. So he will have a preliminary hearing after that and a detention hearing, and of course we will seek that he remain detained, but that's up to a federal judge on that issue. He faces a statutory maximum sentence of 20 years. But as I always tell you, every individual defendant gets a sentencing hearing where a judge takes into account a host of factors under the United States sentencing guidelines. They look at that individual defendant. The judge, he or she, looks at that individual defendant and makes a decision on sentencing. So we don't know what the ultimate sentence will be here. Originally, and I think it is notable, as part of their efforts, the FBI took Mr. Sturdivant to a state magistrate judge to try to have him involuntarily committed. And that was because he had threatened not only other people's lives, but in the process said that he planned to die by a policeman shooting him. So he had threatened other people's lives and self-harm, but the state magistrate judge denied involuntary commitment. Fortunately, the FBI did not give up then and continued to build a federal case and get the evidence they needed to charge him and detain him and keep everyone safe on New Year's Eve. And I'm very, very thankful for that because countless lives were saved here. On New Year's Eve, everyone is at the grocery store. We're all buying the things we need to celebrate, and we could have had a significant loss of life and significant injury here. So we will be here at the federal level dedicated to making sure the public is safe like we were in this case. And I know that there's a lot that goes on behind the scenes that's never public for investigative reasons, and it's very it brings me satisfaction to be able to tell the public what law enforcement is doing when you don't know it and what's going on behind the scenes to keep everyone safe. So with that, I will turn it over to Special Agent in Charge Barnacle, who could tell you a little bit more about the details.
Thank you, Mr. Ferguson, and thank you, Chief Hatley from the Mint Hill Police Department for your partnership in this investigation. My name is James Barnacle. I am the Special Agent in charge of the FBI here in North Carolina. Christian Sturdivant pledged his loyalty to ISIS and committed himself to killing Americans on New Year's Eve. This investigation unfolded quickly. From the moment the FBI was notified of a potential threat of a terrorist-inspired attack in North Carolina, we went all hands on deck. We assessed the credibility of the threat. The investigation lasted about 2 weeks, included numerous investigative techniques, partnerships with law enforcement agencies, and cooperation from the American public. This Christmas, the FBI and our partners worked to protect the American people. We did not let up until Sturdivant was safely in handcuffs. FBI special agents arrested him on December 31st as he was being released from a local medical facility. On Monday night, as Russ just said, the FBI's evidence response team conducted a search, an authorized search, at his home and on his cellular phone. What we found was a manifesto, which the federal complaint alleges contained detailed plans to execute a massacre on New Year's Eve as people shop, for the holidays. Without the swift action of the FBI Joint Terrorism Task Force, New York City Police Department, the Mint Hill Police Department, and our partners at the United States Attorney's Office for the Western District of North Carolina, we could be announcing a national tragedy. Instead, a terrorist attack was thwarted. Give a little background on Sturdivant. He's a U.S. citizen. He turned 18 in December of 2025. The JTTF collected evidence showing he turned his back on his country and his fellow citizens by pledging allegiance to ISIS with the intent of becoming a martyr. We allege Sturdivant was willing to sacrifice himself by committing a terrorist attack using knives and a hammer to support the murder, torture, and extreme violence that ISIS represents. We didn't just learn about him a few weeks ago. Sturdivant first came to the FBI's radar in January of 2022 when he was still a juvenile. He was in contact via social media with an unidentified ISIS member overseas. Sturdivant received direction from this unidentified ISIS member to dress in all black, knock on people's doors, and attack them with a hammer. In fact, Sturdivant did dress in all black. He left his house with a hammer, and fortunately, his family stepped in. Sturdivant, no charges were filed at that time. He was referred for psychological care, and he underwent psychological care, of which I don't know the details. The FBI was told he no longer had access to social media. On December 18th, a week prior to Christmas, the Charlotte field office learned it wasn't true, that he was now back on social media. After several FBI offices around this country and the New York Police Department alerted the Charlotte JTTF of a TikTok account username, Abu Bakr al-Amerki, who made multiple posts in support of ISIS. Sturdivant was identified as the account holder. And with federal search warrants, the FBI obtained his previous posts to assess the extent of threats to the homeland. But according to the complaint, on or about December 12th, Sturdivant began communicating with an individual on multiple social media platforms. Unbeknownst to Sturdivant, he was talking to a government online covert employee. Within just a few days, Sturdivant direct messaged the online covert employee with a picture of 2 hammers and a knife. The message was significant since in recent years, an ISIS propaganda magazine promoted the use of knives to conduct terrorist attacks in Western countries. The same ISIS magazine which suggested using vehicles to ram crowds, like the terrorist attack last year on New Year's Day on Bourbon Street. The conversations between the undercover employee and Sturdivant escalated further. Sturdivant allegedly sent a voice recording pledging Bayat, a loyalty oath to ISIS. And on December 20th, the direct messaging allegedly showed Sturdivant asking for help getting firearms, specifically weapons, guns, to carry out the terrorist attack at a food market here in Charlotte area. Thankfully, that did not occur. This investigation was conducted by several FBI field offices, the FBI Joint Terrorism Task Force, which includes the following members: the Charlotte Mecklenburg Police Department, the Matthews Police Department, the Monroe Police Department, the Bureau of Alcohol, Tobacco, Firearms, and Explosives, the United States Customs and Border Protection, the Federal Air Marshal Service, Homeland Security Investigations, Internal Revenue Service, IRS-CI, the United States Postal Inspection Service, U.S. Citizenship and Immigration Services, also the NYPD, the FBI New York JTTF, the FBI Columbia Division, and the Mint Hill Police Department were instrumental in thwarting this attack. And of course, alongside our partners at the U.S. Attorney's Office in the Western District of North Carolina, and the Department of Justice. This investigation highlights the very real threat posed by people who self-radicalize online and are inspired by jihadist ideologies espoused by foreign terrorist organizations. They seek to attack soft targets with easily accessible weapons and with little to no warning. To further complicate this threat, we have seen that most successful attackers radicalize in a time span of between 1 and 4 years, and they typically mobilize to act in less than 3 months. The FBI continues to work tirelessly to combat the threats of terrorism for the American people every day. But our partnerships are not limited to just law enforcement agencies. We rely on the communities we serve and encourage the public to contact law enforcement when they see or hear something that doesn't seem right. I also have this personal message. If your child, relative, friend, or neighbor is sliding into a dangerous ideology, you'll be the first to see it. And together we can stop it. The threats we face are bigger than any one law enforcement or intelligence agency, requiring everyone who hears this message to work together to keep people safe. I want to thank the members of the Joint Terrorism Task Force that sit over here today for their diligent effort. We spoke, I can't tell you the number of hours, and this is not an attaboy to the FBI or our partners. They worked nonstop for about 14 days, 24/7, digging through everything we had and keeping surveillance on this subject so we could intervene if he were to potentially attack.